development of this area, which is going to have a positive impact on the tax economy here and everybody works here. And with the announcements that they made over the last 4 months, a lot of that's happened because we set the table over the last year that we're getting completed and started so that these things can start coming to fruition. The improvements that we're going to make with the bond proceeds that we'll be issuing tonight are going to actually provide infrastructure so that those facilities can get their sewer, have their streets, start their drains, and be able to develop and actually be a reality on the tax resident plan. So I think this is all good news, and it's the beginning of the fruition for a lot of the sometimes difficult decisions we've made over the past, and have those in place. And I think that the board is, the last couple of years has been really strong in making sure we establish and maintain reserve funds and plan our capital accordingly, and we've invested in economic development moving go forward. So this is all good news.
Sorry, one more. I think I would make comment that in the press release that was issued by Standard & Poor's, it did cite a couple things that I think need mentioning. And that's their very first sentence in there. Part of it was due to the consistently solid financial operations. So that's a real credit to staff and everyone here at team. And it's not just the department heads, all departments have played part in that to stay within and operate fiscally responsible. The other part in there it mentions, which is pretty important, it says, looks at the village's continued commercial and industrial growth from the village's tax increment district. So obviously that's been a major plus for us. Again, I commend everybody that was here prior to me that did a great job.
Okay. We need a motion to supply. So
Second.
motion by Steve, second by Clyde. Any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carries. That brings us to item 8, new business. First item being item 8, resolution number 08-02. Resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of $10 million general obligation promissory notes, this being series 2008A.
Initially, I'm going to talk about overall debt of the village, and there's 4 issues that we have tonight. Resolution 2, 3, 4, and 5. This chart here shows our debt currently as of 1/1/2008. Our debt is broken into 6 different areas: our general operating, our TID 2 debt, our sewer utility, our water utility, refuge and recycling, enterprise, and also our recplex, our recreational center. This shows the different debt amounts that are outstanding as of the beginning of the year. We have new issues, these 4 new issues they're looking at, and the general government is issuing a little over $2 million. That was approved in the budget for a couple of different projects. TID number 2 is issuing a little over $10, $11 million new debt, and then refinancing GO variable debt. Refuge is actually refinancing the GO variable debt, and then the recplex is also refinancing GO variable debt. You can see the amount of the refinancing amount in the next column that we're paying off a little over $14 million of GO variable debt. I'll talk about the GO debt a little bit later in the presentation. And then it gives the estimated balance here for 2019. This is when the proceeds from the GO debt will be coming into the village. It will be a little over $100 million, which is within our debt capacity. Our debt capacity is actually around $135 million, which is 5% of equalized value. This chart shows how debt has changed over the last 3-4 years and what will it look like after we issue this debt. The most that we have is in our TID number 2, and as we have done improvements out there, we borrowed to make the improvements, and as improvements are being made, as the increment grows, eventually when the improvements are done, that amount will start going down as increments are paying out the principal and interest on this debt. Our next largest debt is our recplex. We've still been making payments through our recreational fund. All payments on this debt are from user fees from the rec center. There's no tax dollars being used to pay this debt of the rec center. The next large debt, which has continually declined over the last 3-4 years, is our general government. We have borrowed in the general government for 5 years. This is the first time that we borrowed in the last 5 years for that purpose. Therefore, you can see the principal balance declining in the general category. And then we have, next line down is our sewer debt. Sewer debt, we've issued some over the last couple of years. So it's been up a little bit and leveled downward as we're pretty much almost to the completion of our sewer infrastructure. So hopefully at that time we won't be borrowing much more and we'll be declining in that area too in the future. The water utility hasn't borrowed either in the last 5 years and has been steadily declining also. The refuge, which is our recycling and garbage fund, borrowed when we first started doing the garbage collection and recycling on our own with our own employees and stopped contracting that out. We borrowed for our initial garbage trucks and recycling trucks as well as our initial recycling bins. So that's been, it's very hard to see here, but it's been steadily declining also. So historically, this is how our debt has looked, or is looking. And then after our debt's issued, the biggest issue we have today is our TID debt, which is, you can see, going up the most. And then general, the third line down, is also going up slightly. So the first resolution, 0802, is a resolution authorizing the issuance sale of $10 million. And the purpose of that is for our TID 2 projects. The majority of this, $4.5 million, is to do with the abandonment of 73-1, the sewer treatment plant. The majority of this is lines or piping and lift stations to convey the sewage by 2010 from 73-1 lift station, which is being abandoned, to the Kenosha treatment plant. The next major purpose of this financing is 120th Avenue south of Q. There's roadway improvement, $1 million, storm sewer, a little less than $500,000, municipal water, $0.3 million. Also included in this is some grading south of Q, $0.6 million, and the remainder of this is other number 2 projects, sewer, water, that type of projects in this area. So this is the purpose of $10 million debt. Today, with Piper Jaffray's help, offers were made to purchase these notes. This is the offers that were made that add up to actually have a premium be paid on these bonds. So the actual note amount decreased, and initially they were paying a premium. So the total amount is around the same $10 million, but we're actually borrowing $9.5 million with a premium of almost $500,000 up front. This is a 5-year note. Interest rates on the bonds ranging from 3.156 to 5%. The 5% seems high, but actually when you take into consideration the premium that was paid up front, that rate drops. And if you want to know more about that portion of it, how that drops and stuff, you can explain that portion of how the interest rates are calculated. So this is the first resolution we're looking at. So if you have any questions for myself, Dean Schultz, our financial advisor here. Once we get to the resolution, we need a roll call on it.
Gene, maybe you could describe the premium, the coupon.
Yeah, what happens is Piper Jaffray knows the marketplace. Our underwriter is responsible for determining what the proper interest rate is. In this particular case, that last maturity, for instance, on this debt, even though it has a 5% coupon, the actual effective net interest rate to the Village of Pleasant Prairie is 3.18%. What happens there is we determine what the yield should be. The buyer determines how he wants what we call how he wants it coupon. We don't necessarily have too much control over that. If the buyer wants a 5% coupon and we don't give it to him, he isn't going to buy that debt. Now we have to find another buyer. It's very common. In fact, you can't hardly sell debt anymore where the coupon equals the yield. It has to do with tax ramifications for the buyer and so on and so forth. That's